Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving deep into a story that, well, it didn't just capture imaginations, it pretty much redefined a generation. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or, Sorcerer's Stone if you're in the US.
Hmm.
And look, our goal isn't just to rehash the plot, which, let's be honest, many of you know by heart. We want to peel back the layers a bit.
Right.
We're looking for those subtle bits of narrative genius, the core themes, maybe some surprising details that make this first book so powerful and lasting. Think of it like putting a familiar painting under a magnifying glass. Yeah.
Definitely. And what's really remarkable, I think, is how right from the start, the story just pulls you into this world that's somehow both totally ordinary and completely extraordinary.
Yeah.
It sets up that classic hero's journey perfectly, starting Harry off from this really bleak but, strangely relatable place of misery.
Oh, absolutely. And what a starting point. Harry Potter, an orphan, living in just the worst conditions you can imagine. How does the story immediately show us that huge gap between his miserable everyday life and the magic he's about to find?
Well, it's incredibly clear, isn't it? He's stuck with his awful relatives, Aunt Petunia, Uncle Vernon, his cousin Dudley.
Ugh, the Dursleys.
Exactly. And they don't just neglect him, they treat him with genuine contempt. He's literally forced into a cupboard under the stairs, constantly put down. It's not just like background color.
No.
It's expertly done to set him up as the ultimate underdog. You see his resilience, his sort of quiet defiance even before any magic shows up. He's kind of forged in that fire of neglect.
That makes the change when it comes even more explosive, because then, bam, his 11th birthday, everything just flips.
Right.
This giant man, Hagrid, crashes the party, literally with that absolutely iconic line. It's right from the source. "You're a wizard, Harry." What's the deeper thing happening there beyond just, the big reveal?
Oh, it's huge. It's more than just finding out who he is. It's like the world he thought he knew just dissolves. He learns his parents, James and Lily, they didn't die in some mundane car crash.
Which is what he'd always been told.
Exactly. They were murdered
Mm.
by the dark wizard Voldemort. And then the really astounding part, when Voldemort tried to kill baby Harry, the curse just rebounded,
Yeah.
destroys Voldemort, or his body anyway, and leaves Harry with just that lightning bolt scar. He's famous, the boy who lived.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment, the curse rebounding, it's not just like a cool magic trick. It's the very first hint, isn't it, of the story's central idea, that love, specifically sacrificial love, is a power Voldemort just fundamentally can't understand or deal with. It sets the whole stage.
Precisely. It's this sudden crash of truth, a totally new reality for him. So how does that new identity start to take shape as he, finally steps into this magical world?
Well, the next logical step, now he knows he's a wizard, is Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And that's where he's really thrown into it all. It's thrilling, but it's also deeply challenging, It's where he can finally start figuring out who he actually is.
And on the Hogwarts Express, the train journey, he meets Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, and they pretty much immediately become his best friends.
Yeah, the core trio.
It really is a classic setup, isn't it? And what's interesting is how they each bring something essential. Ron's the loyal heart, Hermione's the brilliant mind, and Harry's sort of the courageous focal point.
Absolutely. And Hermione, coming from a non-magical Muggle background, her struggle to adapt at first is really relatable for the reader. But her intelligence, her determination, they become vital almost immediately.
Totally indispensable.
So at Hogwarts, Harry gets sorted into Gryffindor. He starts learning spells, how to fly a broomstick, all the cool stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not all fun and games. He makes enemies right away, especially Draco Malfoy. Malfoy kind of represents that old guard prejudice you find in the wizarding world.
And you meet other key figures, too. Professor Snape, who seems to just hate Harry on sight.
Yeah, the animosity is instant, isn't it?
And Professor Dumbledore, the headmaster, who seems so wise and, kind.
Right. Snape's immediate dislike, it's not just there for drama, is it? It's actually a really clever setup for one of the series' biggest, longest-running mysteries about, who you can trust, what's real versus what you perceive. It makes you question things right from the get-go.
Yeah, it challenges your assumptions, and it's this mix, the discovery, the friendship, but also this undercurrent of tension that leads the trio pretty quickly to stumble onto a major secret.
Exactly. As they're settling into school life, they figure out something incredibly powerful is hidden inside Hogwarts, being protected there.
And the heart of this mystery is the Philosopher's Stone. The book tells us it grants immortality and unlimited wealth. But the stone, it's more than just its powers, isn't it? It feels like a symbol for that ultimate temptation.
Oh, absolutely. The lure of absolute power, endless life, endless money. That's something Voldemort is constantly chasing, right?
Yeah. And having an object that powerful, it just immediately makes you wonder what kind of place, even a magical school, thinks it's a good idea to keep something like that around. Especially after what happened with Voldemort before.
Exactly. It feels like a huge vulnerability. And sure enough, it becomes clear pretty fast that someone is trying to steal it.
And at first, the kids suspect Snape. I mean, given how much he clearly dislikes Harry, it makes sense, right?
It does. It's a great misdirection. Keeps you guessing.
What's a crucial part of the narrative?
Totally. But then they realize the actual threat is Professor Quirrell, the nervous, stuttering defense against the dark arts teacher.
Right.
And if you think about the bigger picture, that twist highlights this recurring theme in the whole series. That weakness or apparent vulnerability can be this really deceptive mask for real evil.
Yeah, it makes you constantly second-guess appearances.
Exactly. The real villain is often the one you'd least expect.
And the truth behind Quirrell is even more disturbing. He's not just helping someone, he's actually possessed, hosting Voldemort's weakened spirit.
Chilling, isn't it? Voldemort's been surviving, basically feeding off others, waiting.
And he needs the stone to get a body back, to return to full power. So that threat Harry faced as a baby, it never really went away. It was just lurking.
Right there in the school.
Yeah.
So in the climax, Harry, just 11 years old, remember, has to face Quirrell and Voldemort alone. It's not just about being brave physically, it's this moment of incredible inner strength.
And then comes that critical moment in the confrontation. Quirrell literally cannot touch Harry without being burned.
Yeah.
The source explains it's because Harry's mother died to protect him, and that act left behind this powerful magical protection, a protection made of love. That really is the core magic, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's not some complex spell from a dusty book.
No.
It's a fundamental force. It really makes you think, how often does that happen? Maybe not literal magic, but acts of love creating the strongest kind of protection.
Exactly. It's such a powerful idea, this protection born from self-sacrifice. It represents a truth that goes way beyond standard magic. It's a force that Voldemort, who's all about selfish power and hate, he just cannot comprehend it, let alone overcome it.
Right. It proves that the best defense isn't always about knowing more spells or being physically stronger. Sometimes it's about connection, empathy, love. That's a cornerstone for the entire series laid down right here.
So, in the end, Dumbledore has the stone destroyed. Voldemort is thwarted, for now.
For now.
The wizarding world is safe again, but there's definitely this feeling that, uh-oh, this isn't really over. It's like a pause, not an ending, with a clear warning of more struggles to come.
Yeah, the calm before the next storm, maybe.
The story finishes with Gryffindor winning the House Cup, a nice little victory after all that danger, and then Harry has to go back to the Dursleys for the summer.
Back to Privet Drive.
But that return feels different this time, doesn't it? What's the significance of him going back to that awful place now that he knows who he really is?
Oh, it's completely transformative. He knows who he is now. And that knowledge fundamentally changes how he sees himself and his situation there. Like the source says so well, Harry has found friends, magic, and a new home, and his real adventure is only beginning. Going back isn't like resetting. The internal change has already happened.
He's not just the boy in the cupboard anymore.
Exactly. He carries this whole other world, this magical identity inside him now. It's a really powerful way to end the first chapter, emphasizing that the biggest journey is often that internal one, finding yourself.
Such a perfect bridge to the rest of the saga.
Definitely. And this book, you know, it might seem like a straightforward kid's story on the surface, but it is packed with these huge universal themes. You've got the incredible importance of friendship and loyalty. I mean, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, their bond is everything, showing how different strengths work together. Then there's the undeniable power of love and sacrifice, mainly through Lily Potter's act, which introduces this type of magic Voldemort just can't touch.
Right.
You see courage in the face of darkness, Harry facing Voldemort, not because he's some trained hero, but because he's an 11-year-old kid making a choice under terrifying circumstances.
Yep.
And maybe most centrally, it's all about finding identity and belonging. Harry's journey from being basically nothing, an outcast, to realizing he's a wizard who has a place, a community.
So we've taken our deep dive into Harry Potter's first big adventure. from those miserable beginnings right up to his first victory over Voldemort, all framed by, yes, magic, but also by friendship, by courage, and by his mother's love.
Yeah. And this dive really shows how this seemingly simple children's book expertly introduces these really complex ideas, good versus evil, what identity really means, and the amazing power of just basic human goodness.
If we connect it to the bigger picture, this first book isn't just setting the scene. It's like the blueprint for the whole series, subtly laying out all the thematic groundwork for everything that comes next.
Absolutely. It's foundational.
So what does all this mean for you, listening in? Maybe consider this. In your own life, what are those seemingly ordinary connections you have? Or those moments where you acted with unexpected bravery? Maybe even just for yourself. Could those be your own kind of powerful, unseen magic, maybe protecting you or guiding you towards who you're meant to be? Something to think about.
Interesting thought.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep finding the magic in the details.